I was joking on Twitter this week about all the complaining I'm seeing about the Electoral College.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
The meme police will remind me that one is stale, but it's exactly how I felt. You lost the game, so you complain about the rules. And that's mostly why I'm annoyed. I don't buy these complaints as principled. I don't think they'd be happening if their candidate won. I think these are sour grapes. I see a U.S. senator trying to change the system through constitutional amendment. I got friends on my social media calling the system a, quote, technicality. We got people on TV saying the person who came in second won the presidency.
The world looks at us and cannot fathom what is this Electoral College and how does the person who came in second win the presidency.
Trump only came in second if you change the rules. Does the team with the most hits win in baseball? Does the team with the most yards win in football? Is MSNBC crushing the ratings just because it's playing in airport terminals? And even with that boost, they're still behind the Hallmark Channel in viewership. But let's take these critics at their highest. Let's grant their criticism as nonpartisan and philosophically based. Let's take their intentions as sincere and consider their primary argument. The Electoral College is undemocratic.
So how do we solve this problem of we win the election, but we don't get to be president?
Here, let me show you the numbers. Here's where we stand on the popular vote. Yeah, in this insane electoral college system that we have that's mental, he's leading. But in the popular vote, she won.
Every 4 years, we hear the words electoral college, but we never talk about what a ridiculous and, frankly, undemocratic system it really is.
My problem with this argument is that it treats the system as if it's some type of accident, some type of mistake, some type of error, rather than a thoughtful compromise crafted, like every other piece of the Constitution, through vigorous debate and deliberation. They say it's undemocratic, as though pure democracy is universally good, as though that was the intent of the framing of our Constitution. Self-government, that's a good thing. That's what the founders wanted, but pure democracy is not universally good. It lends itself to mob rule. It lends itself to tyranny of the majority. It rejects compromise and can silence minority interests. The constitutional framers wrote critically of pure democracy. James Madison wrote, "In a pure democracy, a common passion or interest will, in almost every case, be felt by a majority of the whole. A communication in concert results from the form of government itself, and there is nothing to check the inducements to sacrifice the weaker party or an obnoxious individual. Hence it is that such democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security and the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths." Alexander Hamilton said, "The ancient democracies, in which the people themselves deliberated, never possessed one feature of good government. Their very character was tyranny, their figure deformity." John Adams wrote, "Democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy yet that did not commit suicide." Consider those words in the context of our country now. Isn't it amazing that all this red territory coexists with all these speckles of blue territory in peace under the same system with stability? Would that stability exist without compromise? I don't think it would, and neither did the architects of the Constitution. What are the compromises that make this peaceful stability possible? Well, the first is the fact that we aren't one big pure democracy. By the founders' intent, we are 50 smaller semi-autonomous states, 50 smaller democratic republics that have control over most aspects of their day-to-day lives, with a federal government that provides general welfare and defense. I get to shoot guns here in Montana, you get to shoot porn in California, and for the most part, we don't tell each other what to do. You get your house, I get mine, we both chip in for the snowplow and some landscaping, and that is how the neighborhood stays together. The next compromise is how our states come together to make law at the federal level. We elect our representatives to the House in Washington. You guys in California get more representatives in the House than we do in Montana because you are a much larger state. But we still have that problem of tyranny of the majority, of the big states like California and New York dominating everybody else. So what do? We create another legislative chamber, the Senate, in which Montana and California and all the states in the union get 2 senators each. That way there's one legislative chamber in which big states wield big power, but there's a check on that. Another legislative chamber in which all states have equal power. compromise. Now, what's interesting about that compromise? It's undemocratic. I have not heard one person who complains about how the system of electing the president is undemocratic complain about how our federal legislature is undemocratic, even though the distribution of power and influence among the states is exactly the same. If you aren't aware, the number of electors each state gets for the presidency is equal to the number of federal legislators that state has, which is mostly determined by population. Montana is a small state in population, so we have 1 representative in the House and 2 senators. That's 3 electoral votes. California is the biggest state in the union with 53 representatives and 2 senators. That's 55 electoral votes. We create federal law in this country by having states vote through their representatives. Nobody seems to dispute that system philosophically. We elect the president through effectively the exact same system, and when you lose, all of a sudden that's unacceptably undemocratic and an offense to the philosophical spirit of this country. But it's no more and it's no less democratic than the rest of the federal cooperation between the states. You vote in your state, and our states come together to create federal law. You vote in your state, and our states come together to elect the president. That is the deal that ensures the Blue Islands don't boss the Red Sea around. That is the compromise that holds the union together. Now, I won't claim this system is perfect. I do think there's an argument to be made about states not having electoral votes perfectly proportional to their population. Because as a technical mathematical matter, my vote for president here in Montana is worth slightly more than it was when I lived in California. I favor a system of electing the president in which states decide who wins because I believe 50 popular votes are better than 1 popular vote. But I can listen to the argument that a vote for president should hold the same value no matter the state in which it occurs. But I will not listen to claims that this system is undemocratic or outdated or a technicality, because the reality is this system is backed with philosophically sound reasoning that has endured centuries, maintaining incredible stability despite the odds. The basis for the Electoral College has nothing to do with horses and candlelight and tri-cornered hats. The philosophical basis for it, much like the Constitution itself, has proven to be exceptionally timeless. Create a fair system in which 50 states have fair influence in their cooperation, and everybody stays happy. States enjoy power proportional to their size, and nobody gets squashed. Interestingly, the people advocating reform seem oblivious to that compromise that keeps states happy and fairly represented. Senator Barbara Boxer of California introduced legislation this week to initiate the process of amending the Constitution to abolish the Electoral College in favor of a national popular vote. She is also advocating an alternative method in which each state agrees to pledge its presidential electors to the winner of the national popular vote, regardless of how the state votes.
The second way is a way that someone I know, a big businessman actually in Silicon Valley, tried to get it done, which is to get each state to pass a law that says, regardless of anything else, they will throw all their electoral college votes to the person that gets the most votes nationwide.
But the process for each of these ideas is roughly the same. You're going to have to go to each state legislature and convince them they should give up their state's autonomy in selecting the president because people in the next state over said so. If that's the approach we want, why have states at all? If you think you're going to get Montana legislators and presidential electors to sacrifice the will of the people here because there are more people in San Francisco who disagree, good luck. Thanks to the great compromise that is our Constitution, that decision is in our hands. You get to be degenerate hippies down there, and we get to be illiterate rednecks up here, and through compromise, not mob rule, we all get along. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at Matt C on YT. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it.